I'm Greg Giuliano. I'm an executive coach, organizational change consultant, and author. I believe leaders have the power to shape the future and change people's lives. I also believe people who challenge the status quo and go beyond usual and ordinary are rare. They're willing to go to the edge and push farther, over and over again. When I find these ultra leaders, I love to talk with them. In each episode, I talk with ultra leaders to learn how they do what they do and how they keep growing as leaders. I promise you a full dose of ultra leadership from other ultra leaders just like you in every conversation. We're at the edge of another episode. Let's jump in. Welcome to Ultra Leadership. My guest today is Mallika Madakasira. Mallika has over 20 years experience in enterprise organizations, healthcare, and high tech across the US and Asia Pacific. Her career roles span digital transformation, innovation, go-to-market strategy, marketing, product management, operations, consulting, market research. She is a master of so many things. Right now, she is population health strategist and leader at Oracle. And so welcome to the show, Mallika.
Thank you, Greg. Glad to be here on a Friday.
Yes, it's awesome that we're both here. We made it through our weeks. I'd like to start out my listeners with a big win. And so right out of the gate, can you tell me what book it is that you are recommending to folks these days?
Yeah, sure. I probably will recommend more than one book if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this last few months, I've been intrigued by a couple of innovation and strategy books. One is called Seeing Around Corners, and it's written by Rita McGrath. She's a professor at the Columbia Business School. And if you're a strategist, it's a fantastic read. It talks about how to spot inflection points in any industry. She talks about a lot of case studies and really breaks it down in simple framework. So it really boils down to some simple questions. You know, what kind of business are you in? If I'm a electric car manufacturer, the question I would ask is, am I in the automotive industry? Am I in the energy business? Yeah. So you kind of strategize what the The other book is called Invent and Wander. And it's essentially a collection of letters and stories by Jeff Bezos to his shareholders, presented by Isaac Walterson. It's a beautiful book for anybody that's interested in innovation and the story of Amazon. It talks to his philosophies and passion in terms of how he built the behemoth that Amazon is today. He talks a lot about what separates innovative leaders from the rest of the pack. And, you know, what is it about being an effective leader? So those are the two that I would recommend on the business side.
I love it.
Or is Becoming, which is a biography by our former First Lady. Again, a beautiful book where she talks about her humble beginnings to her journey all the way to the White House.
Love it. Thank you. That's awesome. So I think ultra leaders, what sets ultra leaders apart is that they're very intentional about the impact that they want to make. And so I'd like to play match game with you, and I'd like you to fill in the blanks for me. I am a blank leader who helps others blank.
I am a quiet leader who helps others reach their fullest impact and make a difference.
So I'm really intrigued. So when you say quiet leader, that is, there's an elegance about that. So I'm curious, what do you mean by that? Because my mind's going everywhere.
Yeah. So quiet leadership, in my mind, is a lot about being open and really helping people play to their strengths. It's less about being prescriptive. It's a lot about asking the right questions and really helping the folks that you're leading reach their fullest potential. So if I look at across my career and the different roles that I've had, a lot of the leadership roles that I've had have come without formal titles, but I've actually had to manage cross-functional teams. And an effective cross-functional team collaboration is a lot about being open and empathetic and really bringing everyone together on a journey that has a shared vision and ideology, and being able to figure out what are the strengths and how do you sort of delineate roles and responsibilities so as to sort of march together and, maximize the impact. So that's what I think quiet leadership is about. It also has a lot of magical powers around what you can do in terms of transformation. What I've observed personally is this kind of leadership really helps people be who they are, and people can leverage their strengths to the maximum capacity.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? It's true leadership, right? There's not relying on title, not relying on position, ability to engage people, empower them, and unlock what they can contribute. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. So that's awesome leadership advice, right? To try to engage like that. What's the worst leadership advice you ever heard?
Fake it till you make it.
This guy.
And for someone like me, I believe very strongly in authenticity and empathy. I think EQ and some of these soft skills are extremely critical, especially in current times, where there's just a lot of change and uncertainty. And I remember long ago when I was looking for some mentorship and advice, and I heard this, my first reaction was, oh my God, I'm not so sure I'm cut out for something like this. And I've had a lot of mentors along the way, some who have been my formal mentors, many who I've just met along the way. And I think one thing that has become extremely clear is authenticity and empathy, and just being who you are is extremely important, because that's what draws people to you and wants them to be engaged in whatever initiative you're working together. So I would say that's probably been the worst advice that I've received.
I love it. I love it. So today, in your role and in what you're doing at Oracle, leading your teams and engaging with folks, what do you find taking up most of your time?
So Oracle is at a very pivotal moment. If you have had a chance to listen to any press release or a keynote from our founder, Larry Ellison, healthcare is our organizational mission. And when I look at healthcare as an industry, I think everyone is in the healthcare business, regardless of which industry you're in. We also made a huge acquisition very recently. So Cerner is a company we acquired, and Cerner has a lot of clinical capabilities. So they have, electronic medical records, population health capabilities, and many, many, many more. So we are right in the middle of being able to drive a lot of transformation in the industry. And he made a very, very bold statement around being able to drive transformation in healthcare that's going to be patient-centric. So for the longest time, especially healthcare has been an industry that's been tailored to the entities and systems and payers and providers. And so he has this vision of creating this national health records database, which can be portable and interoperable across the ecosystem and entities. So I think for me, being a part of that organization is a big deal. And I'm looking forward to being able to contribute and make a big impact in achieving that vision. So I think that's what is taking a lot of my mind space, but also because of the acquisition, there's obviously a lot of change in the organization. And so time will tell when things settle down, but it doesn't mean the work has to stop. So we are continuing to figure out what the priorities are and how to march towards that vision.
There will always be another change, right? It's a feature in the system. It is not a bug. There is always going to be another change.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, I've got the worst advice you've ever heard. So if you're mentoring someone, what's the advice that you share most with younger leaders?
I think the first thing I would tell them is to be authentic, to be empathetic, and be curious. When I look at leadership, it's not about one person, it's a team sport. And I think it's extremely important, especially as a leader, to have this open mind and to be curious and have this attitude of, lifelong learning. Because as you meet people and you want them engaged and aligned towards your overarching goal. Kind make the world. So you're going to have to essentially be open and accommodative of different personalities, understand their strengths and weaknesses, and really figure out how to best play to the strengths and make people feel like they are making an impact.
Yeah, awesome. So you talked about lifelong learning, and I think that's critical for leaders. I agree with you about that. In that spirit, what's the biggest learning or aha that you've experienced, just say in the last 30 or 60 days?
Yeah, so my mind is still fresh from listening to all the great sessions in the recent Oracle CloudWord conference. I think the one aha moment that I had was our founder's keynote speech about how he talks about this new world having a multi-cloud industry. So I think cloud is in a very interesting inflection point overall. And, as we have multi-scalers like us and Google and Amazon, a lot of our customers have us and other competitors. And so we have formed some partnerships with some of our competitors like Microsoft Azure and AWS, where they're able to essentially run some of our applications on their cloud. And he talks about this concept of interoperable Internet of Cloud concept. So if you think of what can be achieved with that goal in mind, it's amazing. And so I've been psyched about that whole concept and the possibilities that sort of carves out. I think on the personal side, so I am a person that is born with 2 left feet. And for the longest time, I've been very shy and reticent about engaging in any kind of dance. But in the last couple of months, I took a bold initiative to sign up for a couple of dance classes. One is it's obviously got a lot of fitness component to it, but one is a Brazilian dance class, Brazilian dance beats, and another is a mixed dance class. And for about 4 or 5 sessions, it was very, very painful because I could watch myself in the mirror trying to mimic my teacher and being able to sort of participate at the same time, not look disoriented. But now it's been, I would say, 8 or 10 classes, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I never in my wildest dreams imagined that this day would be possible. I too can dance. And so
I love that. I love that. You're right. All the cool stuff happens when we get out of our comfort zone. And
Exactly.
So congratulations. That is just a huge deal. I'm envious and I relate. I would love to say I'm a great dancer, and I'm not a great dancer. So congratulations to you. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad that you're loving that.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about, because you've been working with teams for a long time in all your various roles. And when you think about a team being a high-performing team, what's the one behavior or practice that if everybody on the team did it, the performance of the team would elevate?
Yeah. So 2 things on that, I would say. So the first one is collaboration. Now, it's a word, it's a verb and a noun that I've seen used rather loosely. Sometimes it's just lip service. But true collaboration is really about going into a project or an initiative with the mindset that it's not just about what I bring to the table, but it's about the collective whole. And if there is a win, it's a team win. And I think that mindset helps you achieve bigger things. Sometimes, because we live in a bit of a competitive environment, there is a tendency to sometimes put your ideas first and make a win look like it's yours. But that's extremely myopic in my opinion. And I think successful and high-performing team always have this attitude around collaboration and the team mindset, which separates them from the rest.
Yeah, and it doesn't just happen, right? So if you're leading a team and you want the team to be more collaborative, you can't just cross your fingers in hopes that it happens. So How have you facilitated that with people just getting them to align on what do we mean when we say the word collaboration or to collaborate? What's something that you have done to help design your teams to be more collaborative?
Yeah, so the first one is aligning on a vision or an objective. It seems very simple to say it, but I've been involved sometimes in many initiatives where there's not a clearly defined end goal or an objective. The second thing is understanding roles and responsibilities or strengths and weaknesses. So there's obviously a formal role that everyone brings to the table, but then beyond that, just understanding a little more about their background and what they can bring that's unique to the table is very, very helpful. And how I've been able to engage and facilitate that is to actually meet each of the team members individually before bringing them on board. So I meet with each of them. I share the vision of what it is we want to achieve, try to get an understanding of their background. So there are no surprises in this manner when we get together during that first kickoff meeting.
Yeah.
And I also go to the extent of sort of assigning some roles and responsibilities just to put a stake in the ground, just so everyone feels like, they already have something to contribute. And with the idea that it's going to be iterative. So we will evolve these roles and responsibilities as the initiative progresses, as the project progresses. But I think this has generally been helpful, at least over the course of my career, to lead this cross-functional kind of collaboration and leadership.
Yeah, it sounds like you help people not just find out their particular relationship to the work, but you help them form a relationship across the team, with one another, because they're going to be working together for a while on this. So having those relationships, those connection points is kind of the foundation for the cooperation and the collaboration that you're hoping to have come out of their interactions.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, you nailed it. I think a lot of this is about trust and relationship building. And if you don't spend time early on to do that, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And so people need to feel trusted. They need to feel like they have a safe space to bring in their facts and perspectives and opinions. And so once you establish that, then there's no limit to what can be achieved.
Yeah. And like we said, that doesn't just happen, right? That's
Exactly.
Your responsibility as a leader. You make that happen for the team.
Yeah.
So in my work, I talk about, and we talked about it a minute ago, getting out of our comfort zone. And I talk about it in terms of going to the edge of our comfort or our competence or confidence about something.
Mm-hmm.
And so this next question, I'm going to take us to the edge here. So I'm always curious with leaders who are very successful. There's always something that we do that we get in the way of our own success. So would you mind sharing with us what's something that you do from time to time where you kind of get in your own way?
Yeah. An attribute of mine that sometimes is a strength, but many times is a weakness is this tendency to overanalyze things, analysis paralysis. I will tell you that over the years that I have gotten better and wiser about not doing it as much. I tend to be pretty critical of my own work and myself. And so pretty much after any project or any kind of engagement that I have, I go back and I sit down and think about what I could have done better, where there was a gap and where I can improve. Sometimes that process is probably not very healthy and helpful because I end up finding that I'm overly critical of where I'm at, and it tends to deter my confidence in some cases. It was worse when I was younger, but these days I've used it as an opportunity to really show up better for the next engagement or the next initiative. But I would say that's been my biggest weakness overall.
Thank you. I appreciate your sharing that. And there are a lot of people who have that same experience. So they will hear your words and go, oh, I'm not alone. And so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So as we begin to head to the finish line here, I'm curious today, what are you most grateful for?
On the personal side, I would say I'm most grateful for having had the opportunity in my lifetime to be a parent. I have a beautiful daughter. She's a junior in high school. And just watching her grow up and trying to be a decent and a good parent has been the most fulfilling thing in my life. I absolutely love it. And then on the professional side, I have not had a very linear career. I've had a lot of opportunities, some of which have come through changes within an enterprise and an organization, others that I've sought after. And I'm very grateful to have had the opportunities to sort of experience and play in a very functional role. And now I'm at a point in my career where I'm able to take all the experiences and expertise and kind of bring that holistic perspective to anything that I'm involved with. And so I'm very grateful for that.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And what a beautiful note to end on. Mallika Madakasira, thank you so much for being here today. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm sure that the listeners will as well. Until next time, remember, managers run the present. It's ultra leaders that shape the future, change lives, and drive better results. If you're enjoying Ultra Leadership, please take a minute and give us a review wherever you find your podcasts. And please stay in touch. Sign up for our Ultra Leadership newsletter at ultraleadership.com. Now, before you jump to your next meeting, I invite you to reflect on what you heard today. What stood out for you? What insight might you want to incorporate into your leadership practice? Until next time, remember, as a leader, you always have the power to shape the future and change lives. So go to the edge and push farther. Thanks for listening.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.